Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I am working through day 2 of By the Well for God's newest kit, Grow in Grace. Now day 2 has us talking about the good seed and the parable of the sower, so I am journaling in Matthew 13. And there's a couple elements that I wanted to definitely incorporate onto this page that came in the ephemera pack. And so I'm creating a solid mixed media background. I am using some bright colors here. This is the newest Salvage Patina color. I really love this blue and I think that it matches fairly well with this kit. And I'm also using the mustard seed color. Now, obviously, I'm going to mix those together so they create kind of a green in between. And then I will add some water and make more of a distressed look on this background. Now, I didn't want this to look too blotchy, so I am carrying the colors back and forth to one another so that all the yellows will basically touch and all the blues will basically touch. And it'll just kind of more so look like a tie-dye look when I'm done with this. But don't worry, when you do mixed media backgrounds, they don't usually look good to start off with, so keep on working with it. The more you work it, usually the better it looks. I mean, obviously there is a stopping point where you should definitely stop, but don't worry if they start looking like this, like something that you're like, what am I doing here? That is the first part of mixed media. So like I said before, I'm going to grab my little spray bottle and spray some water over this. I will let it sit for a couple seconds, and then I do grab a paper towel and start picking up that color. That will actually help lift the color of the Distress Oxide. And then I am going to dry that off and then do it a second time. I've noticed when you spray water on Distress Oxides, you think that a lot of water spots are there, but once it dries, they kind of disappear a little bit. So I like doing it twice if you want a heavily spotted page. I am also grabbing some spray stain and picket fence and flicking that over my page. I just use the nozzle. I never spray this stuff, but same thing applies for this. It looks like a lot right now, but once it dries, they kind of disappear a little bit. To continue that mixed media look, I grab some brown Distress Oxides because I can never have anything without any browns. It's kind of like browns and fabric are my thing. So I grab some browns and also a little bit of orange to mix in, and I'm using this Tim Holtz stencil and just putting that in with a brush that I have. After this, I realized that I still want more of a mixed media look, so I end up grabbing the Gingham Bees stencil from By the Well for God. You can pick this up at their shop, and I'm going to do the same thing I did in my last page, and that is just grab some texture paste and go through the stencil. I'm avoiding the bees, so I'm just getting that gingham look without the bees, and that works for this page because the focus isn't on the bees. So I love this stencil for that it has 2 different looks you could get. So definitely go pick up this stencil if you haven't yet. I will put a link down below. I'm going to set that aside and let it dry and start working on my layering pieces. I grabbed this word study card, which is seed, and it also has my Bible verses on it. So I like that I don't necessarily have to highlight the verses on the other page, but it is available on that word study card. This also came in the ephemera pack, which is just their kind of texture for this month. It's a seed packet and has the good seed stamp stamped on it. And I love this. I am distressing it a little bit more. I did add one of these little cards that came in the kit in it as well. I used on my typewriter just a little note from Christina. She wrote, "You may notice that there's not much time spent on the seed. There's a reason for that. It is because the seed is good. There's nothing wrong with the seed, and the reason for how it takes root has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of the seed. In this parable, Jesus tells his disciples that the seed is representative of the word of the kingdom, in other words, the gospel." And I thought that was just a great quote to remind myself, and so I just tucked that into the seed pocket. If you've noticed here, I also put a quote from John MacArthur on these labels. He writes, "As there were 3 soils with no fruit or no salvation, there are 3 kinds of good soil with fruit. Not all believers are equally fruitful, yet all are fruitful. And I thought that was just an amazing quote to remind myself that all Christians are fruitful. We will know each other by our fruit. And so that is a reminder for me. I really liked the look of these little cute ladybugs that came in the kit stamp. And so I decided I would stamp them out and color them in with some of the Daniel Smith watercolors. And I'm just thinking of placement here. I decided eventually that I'm just going to stamp one out itself on the bottom of this yellow label to kind of fill it in. And then I color it in with the Daniel Smith watercolors as well. You will see me make a little oops in a couple minutes, which is kind of sad, but I remedy it, so don't worry. Like I've said multiple times, most of the time you can fix your problems, and it's just about studying the word and being reminded of his word while you are creating. I also put this little potted plant. This was actually a clear sticker that came in the kit, but I decided to back it with some white paper to add some sturdiness, and I knew I was going to be layering anyhow, so that's what I did with that. And I did little X-Acto knife surgery on it so I could get all the small little pieces out as well. Here I am adding another little corner flap with some of the special paper that you can pick up along with the kit, and I am just going to start adding the ladybugs around. After I fidgeted around with that layout and the ladybugs, I decide that the texture paste has probably dried enough for me to start layering and working on the actual page. And so I bring everything down, and here is when I remembered that I really wanted that potted plant on some foam tape. So I ripped it off. It did rip some of the card, but don't worry, it'll be covered right back up with the foam tape and the potted plant. And so I put that down and it all looks fine. But here is when I start to grab my fabric that I have. I love this fabric. And when I put the fabric down, I realized that the ladybug I have painted down there isn't as red as the fabric. And so I really want that ladybug to look the same red. And so I grabbed my Daniel Smith watercolors again to create a darker red. And I noticed that I am working right over it while I'm trying to thread that needle. And I decided, wait, hold on. I'm going to move the ladybug because I don't want it to smear while it's drying. So I do that, and I think everything is fine and dandy. And I start working on folding and making little X stitches with this fabric. And guys, I still smear it. I think that it's already dry, and I end up grabbing it, and my thumb goes right over that ladybug and smears it. You'll see in 1 second. And I try to cover it up with some Archer and Olive white pen, but that really doesn't cover it up enough. And so I end up just making some more ladybugs. I layer one kind of on top to the side, and also one on top of that blue label as well. It's probably not my preferred way for this page to turn out, but it ends up looking cute anyhow. So we'll just go with that. As to the ladybugs, I only cut out the heads and bodies when I stamped them because I knew that the antennas and the legs were going to be almost impossible to cut out. And so I knew that I could draw stick little straight legs and also a slightly curved antenna. So if you're at that skill level for drawing like me, then you can probably do this as well. I am not a good drawer, but this was super simple and looks just like the stamped image. So here I am placing everything down, and I will start gluing it all together. I like to make my clusters all together, like pasting them together and stapling them together, so I can get a good feel of how the page is coming along. And so this helps me to make clusters in this way. I'm also trying to figure out where I want this fabric piece to be. Up here it looks a little busy, but down here it looks pretty good. And so I'm going to just use my liquid glue again to paste that down. I will flip the fabric around because I want the red to be on the inside instead of the outside. But first off, I have to glue down that seed packet. I find that flipping this fabric so the red is in the center adds a little more cohesiveness to this page with the red ladybugs. And then I will pick up this whole cluster itself and glue it down. With Christina's quote, I end up just tucking that into the seed packet, and I am also going to end up making a little tab punch on the side that will go right behind the right side of that seed packet. This will help me in two ways. One, it carries the color over to the other side of the page and creates more of a flow to the page, and also so I know the date, because I love adding my dates to my page. It helps me know what was going on in that season, and I just want my kids to be able to know when each page was created as they go through it, hopefully in the future. To finish this page off, I will end up adding a green gingham bow to the top of the page, which was in my stash, and then I will also add some glossy accents to the bodies and heads of the ladybugs, which adds such a cute little piece. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'd be so appreciative of that, and I will add all my affiliate links down below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless, guys. Thanks.